Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest album from Victorious, Space Ninjas from Hell, out January 17th on Napalm Records. This album has 12 tracks, 45 minutes in length, and this is the band's 5th studio album. For those of you perhaps not as aware of this band, they are a German power metal band. Now, as you can perhaps tell from the title of the album, this record talks about ninjas. Not just any kind of ninjas, not just your run-of-the-mill Japanese assassin ninjas, ninjas from space. Yes, ninjas from space. Now, as you think about power metal bands, talking about topics like this is not necessarily something out of the ordinary. You have bands that sing about pirates, unicorns in space, superheroes, wizards, demons, dragons, wars, ships. Power metal is really open lyrically to talk about almost any single topic out there and make it work with the style of the music, with the style of vocals that you get from power metal bands. So to have an album, a concept album in this case, that talks about ninjas from space is not necessarily a leap of faith. And actually, it works really well on all different levels with this band. But first, before I start breaking it down and explaining why talking about ninjas from space really works well for this band, let me give you a little bit of an idea behind the concept of this record. So like I said, this is a concept album. It tells the story of this evil ninja clan that joins forces with this dragon god Ling Long. And together they unite in order to destroy humanity. But then there's this wushu wizard master that gets in their way, that foils their plans and banishes them out of Earth into space. And people think that they're safe, that they're dead, that these ninjas will never come back. Guess what? They found refuge in space. They're building their strength, they're building their weapons, and they're getting back together with that evil dragon god Ling Lang to come back and destroy Earth and destroy humankind once and for all. That is the concept, the lyrical concept and the overall concept of this record. Now, how does that work musically, and how does that work into power metal, and how does that work specifically for this band? I said it earlier, I really feel like it works extremely well for this band. Consider the attributes that this band has to offer musically and vocally to the album. Overall, I felt that musically, that topic, that concept works extremely well because these guys have a little bit of a mixture of old school power metal with this more new wave sense and style that we're seeing from a lot of bands these days that have a little bit of a pull from the 80s musical styles, those musical genres that used a lot of synthesizer, a lot of keyboard melodies in the 80s. They're bringing that now to the forefront, creating this almost new wave of power metal that really relies heavily on keyboards. So you get that aspect, but then you still have a lot of condiments. You have a lot of old school elements from the way the solos are put together, the way they use vocal tracks, backing vocal tracks with choirs. All of these elements, a lot of them are used now, but they all have a very deep rooted experience in the past, and they definitely have a little bit of a throwback feel to the sound that this record has to offer. So this is a record that really blends the old style of power metal with the new style of power metal, combining these two forces together on every single track on the record to really allow the album to come to life. This is an album that has a little bit of an 80s vibe, an 80s arcade vibe when you think about the topic, when you think about the concept of ninjas, you think about video games, you think about arcades. So this album has a little bit of that style, has a little bit of that vibe. You really feel like you're moving backwards in time, going into an arcade room playing a video game of sorts. So this album has that sense from a musical perspective, tying it really perfectly to the lyrical content. So at points you feel like you're playing a video game, and the story that they're telling you, the concept of the record is built into a video game. That's the overall feel that I got listening to this record, and that to me allows the album to work. It allows them to go really deep into space with this story, with this concept, and not really losing track of themselves and not really lose track of the sound around them. So that to me is the reason why this album really works from a concept to a musical perspective. On the drum sides, I really felt the drums were very heavy throughout the record. They really added a punch. They really allowed the album to move forward. And then when you mix the guitars, the guitar work on this album is phenomenal, but when you mix the guitars with the drums, they really create this 1-2 punch that really allows the album to be pushed forward at great tempo. Every song has this really dynamic feel to it. They really move forward extremely well with great tempos, great velocity, great speed, but heavy at the same time. The drums are undeniable, really heavy, and they really add a backbone to the overall structure of the record, but more important to the individual structure of every single song. The guitars add to that heaviness at times, but they also add a lot of melody, a lot of flourish. I love the guitar solos, multiple solos on tracks. I really like the combination of that they did with incredible riffs, solos coming right after the chorus, bleeding into a chorus. Everything that they did surrounding the guitars on this album really emphasized the energy that this record had, and emphasized the overall melody that the album has to offer. Vocally, I really like everything they did vocally as well. The vocalist has a really throwback feel to his voice. It really adds to the whole 80s arcade vibe. It's really a voice that's very different, but it has a very unique tone to it, and it has this really throwback feel to it. I really enjoyed that because, once again, it matched perfectly well with the overall concept that the album had to offer. So the vocal style, in my opinion, was really important. Not really going over the top too many times, really finding the perfect barriers, the perfect guidelines in where he needed to be on every single song in order to get the most out of the lyrics, to get the most out of the song, and to really make you feel like you're going through this video game journey, if you will. I also like the fact that they added backing vocals on a lot of the tracks, mostly in the choruses, but I really like that because it added volume. The vocals are not heavy. The vocals are not one of those really extreme power metal, powerful vocals that goes into these really high notes and absolutely demolishes everything. That's not the style of vocals that you're gonna get, but the vocals work really well with the lyrics, and it worked really well with the overall sound that the record has to offer. Having said that, you need to add something in order to really emphasize certain periods of the songs, either it be the choruses or the pre-chorus, or even sometimes in the verses. You need something to add some volume, to add some irreverence to the way the vocals are coming at you. And what these guys did on this record was adding backing tracks, backing vocals, either in the sense of a choir or almost in the sense of an echo. It just adds volume, it adds presence, it adds it sometimes at points, not every single time, but at points, it added a little bit of a symphonic feel to the way the songs were coming at you, giving the songs a little bit of a battle hymn over a more symphonic vibe. I really like that. It expanded the vocal performance throughout the record. It made it more powerful, more impactful, thicker, bigger, larger, more volume. Overall, if you're a fan of power metal and you like that really dipped in cheese power metal with great melodies, great guitar riffs, great over-the-top solos, this album is a must pick up. I really enjoyed this record. I had some doubts going in because the topic of ninjas, I must say, it kind of worried me in terms of where were they going with this record. But after listening to the album, I absolutely love the record. Like I said at the beginning, it kind of gave me a feel of an arcade video game and you playing through the story of that video game. So it had a lot of things that I was able to connect to, and it had a lot of very good components to it, from the vocals, the guitars, the drums, and overall the concept. I really enjoyed it. Now, as far as songs are concerned, I picked 3 tracks. It was really hard to pick tracks on this album because they all have very similar attributes, but I picked 3 tracks that I really enjoyed and they were not released as singles. I picked Ninjas Unite first. I really like this song. It's the second song on the album. It has a great tempo. The blend of guitars and synthesizer really gives the song a lot of melody. The drums and guitars side by side really set the frenetic pace that this song has. That's, to me, one of the main components throughout the record, and it's definitely present in this song. The choir backing vocals in the chorus really adds a battle hymn vibe to this song. You almost feel like you're listening to one of those Viking hymns, and it really works well with the song. It works well with the overall vocals, it works well with the guitars, and it works well with the overall structure that the song has to offer. The verses of the song are more thundering, they have more speed, while the chorus is more melodic. So there's definitely a break between the verses and the chorus, and it's very noticeable as you're going through the song. Following the second chorus, you get these magnificent solos that really represent the song well. It really represents the melody of the song, but at the same time it represents the insane tempos that the track has. So the solos kind of incorporate the 2 worlds that are present in one single song. Then once those solos are finished, it moves back to the chorus as it concludes the song. It has a very linear structure. It's a very defined power metal style battle hymn structure to this song, and I really like it. They really pulled it off extremely well. Next, Evil Wizard Wushu Master. This song definitely has the 80s feel. If I didn't know better, I would say that this was the intro track to one of those amazing 80s cartoons like Thundercats, something along those lines. This song had a lot of those of that nostalgia built into it, perhaps because of how melodic, how catchy the chorus was. The vocals were incredible, but the catchiness and the hookiness of the chorus and the melody that it has, it really plays into that 80s cartoon intro vibe that this song has. It's a song that has a great tempo in the verses. It seems to increase even more so in the chorus. While the previous song, Ninjas Unite, changed, it kind of slowed down a little bit in the chorus versus the verses. This song was the other way around. It had great momentum in the verses, but then it picks up even greater momentum in the chorus. I really like that. It was a change. It created a different dynamic. It created a different fluidity for the track. And once again, that chorus is just so hooky, so catchy. They used backing vocals as well in the chorus, so that added volume, it added presence. It really gave a thicker sounding wall to the way that chorus is put together that matches extremely well with the speed and velocity that that chorus has musically. Great song all around. Last, Space Ninjas from Hell, which is the title of the album. The synth blend with the guitars on this song, at least at the beginning, I really like it. It gives a futuristic vibe. It really puts you in this space mode. So I really like that intro, the use of the keyboards and the guitars together to give almost that, I wouldn't say psychedelic, but to give that sci-fi feel to the opening of the song, to me is really important because of the lyrics and the overall nuances that this track has. Heavy drums, which is pretty much a common denominator across the whole album. Heavy drums really give volume to the overall song. A song that perhaps without those drums would feel really stripped out, would feel super melodic, super light, almost space-worthy. But the drums kind of bring the gravity into this song. They kind of bring the song down. They have a lot of heaviness to it. It has a great chorus, really hooky, really catchy. This is also another staple that you're going to find throughout this record, songs that have really catchy and hooky choruses. Slowing down the tempo, a little bit melodic with backing vocals in the chorus. This is a song that has that dynamic change between verses and chorus, more powerful, more robust in the verses, a little bit slower in the chorus, but what it loses in speed, it gains in melody with the way the vocals are coming at you, with the way the guitar melodies are put together in the chorus. So you lose some, you gain some with this song. The vocal bridge, it was absolutely phenomenal. I really like what they did there. They stripped down everything. It was pretty much the vocals were the main driving force during that vocal bridge. You still had the instrumentation behind it, but it was very subdued. It was very, it was underneath it. It was just a very thin layer. They let the vocals come to the forefront, almost a cappella, and let the vocals dictate the pace at that time, slowing everything down, bringing everything down, bringing the mood of the song down, and then allowing it to explode right after. With the solos. So I really like that. It added a different dynamic to the track. It made this track feel very different from all the tracks before from a structural perspective, while using a lot of the same elements that we saw on every single song leading up to this one and we saw in the songs afterwards. The use of that vocal bridge in the middle and the way the solos come right after it was something very different, very unique, that really set this song apart from all the other tracks on the album. Alright guys, this is it. This is Victorious Space Ninjas from Hell, out January 17th on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. As always, I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.